And once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest edition of our Newline Interactive Weekly Wisdom Webinar. Once again, my name is Tim Garber, and it's great to have everyone here. The topic of today, Newline case studies and success stories. And the idea here is to go ahead and showcase some of our big success stories. And you know, we're always happy to brag when we have an opportunity to do that. But part of this also is to not just brag a little bit, but also to really detail just how having Newline interactive products and partnering with us really can mean success. You know, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you know, whatever scenario you're trying to improve when it comes to communication, interactivity, you know, taking your content to the next level, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a lesson in the classroom, whatever the case may be. Partnering with Newline really gives you an opportunity to see that success happen. And that's why I'm happy to go into detail with some of the case studies that we have. Before I go in that direction, though, one thing real quick, let me just go ahead and point out that we do have a number of very happy customers across the spectrum in a number of different verticals and segments. And honestly, I can't remember. I know I counted, but then I can't remember what the number was in terms of how many slides of case studies I had. It was actually several dozen. I know that it was right around several dozen. Obviously, we are not going to go through each and every single one of those. We will be here all night. But I went ahead and chose a few that I thought were very interesting because some of them had either some interesting scenarios, or some of them actually were what I refer to as bread and butter. You know, the types of things that we see all the time, and having a solution that we know is versatile to meet, you know, either the bread and butter stuff or maybe something that's a little bit different. And so we're going to take a look at some of that today. But those are just a few examples of, and this is not a complete list, mind you, but these are a few examples of some customers and a few of the great folks that we've worked with along the way. And this is a look at, and this is another brag slide, but this is the point that I want to make here. When we talk about Newline Interactive and the awards that we win and the positive reviews that we receive, the big takeaway there is that these sorts of things actually do translate to customer success in very real ways. So, you know, having an award is nice, and being recognized for having something great and having something cool is nice. But for those of us who've been in the technology business for a while, we know that those sorts of things do not always translate to customer success. But when it comes to Newline products, we are very happy to say that these sorts of things do in fact translate to that success, and we're very, very thrilled about that. And so this is a very good brag page for us for that reason. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some of these case studies. And I'll go ahead and start in the corporate space. And the first case study that I have is an outfit called Dennison Parking, and headquartered in Indianapolis. And one of the great things about this particular scenario, as I mentioned before, is I like to call this bread and butter. It really is, because here we have a situation where they've got new facilities, and or they're updating their facilities, and they want to really be updated. They want to get away from the outdated gear, the pull down screens and projectors, outdated phone systems. They wanted something that would allow them to truly get into the 21st century. What did they choose? They chose the X7. If you've been on our weekly webinars previously, we did one on the X series, and the X7, as you know, is part of our unified collaboration system, meaning that it's a very good all-in-one solution that includes not just a great interactive display, not just an OPS for an onboard Windows-based PC, but also a fantastic built-in camera and microphone array, allowing you a single solution for communication needs, computing needs, and interactive needs. And so the X7 was what they chose. And what it allowed them to do is it really allowed them to guide their company into the future, allowing them to not just have a great solution internally for conducting meetings and training sessions, but also externally having a good scenario, a good customer-facing solution for those sorts of things as well. So they were very, very thrilled with not just the functionality of the X7, but the look and the capability, giving them a very good customer-facing solution. So they were very happy about that, and that's one of the reasons I chose this case study, because that's a very good bread and butter example as it pertains to our solution. The reason I chose Gladys Porter Zoo is because I call this a hybrid scenario. So it's a corporate customer, but it really has an education flavor to it. And that's one of the reasons why I like this, because what they needed something that was versatile enough to truly handle everything, not just the internal meetings and onboarding and training and being able to conference with other parties all across the nation, but they also needed a solution that was going to be appropriate for their customers to actually come in and interact, and including the young students that they have who participate in the education programs that they facilitate. And that's really a wonderful thing to know that. Sure, you've got the True Touch, and you can use it for meetings, and they're using the big 80-inch displays, so they've really got a lot of screen real estate that they can use for whatever they want, but to also be able to bring in those customers and those young students and have them interact with the content that you have, and that the True Touch makes that content sing. That's a really great message, and so we're very happy that we were able to make that happy for them, and they've been very happy with the product. So this is a very good case study because, again, it's a nice kind of a hybrid look, and it really shows off the versatility of the products that we have. And as I say that, one of the things also that I want to point out about this is as I continue to go through these case studies, you're really going to kind of, because I'm going to repeat myself a lot, and the reason I'm going to repeat myself a lot is because it's really a repeating theme. The fact that Newline Interactive products are non-proprietary, easy to use, easy to get into in terms of just having the software that you use, and you feed the True Touch whatever you need to feed it, you turn it on and you go. And that's really a big reoccurring theme, and it's a big part of the Newline story. One of the things that we always want customers to know about us is the fact that our stuff's the easiest to use. Our stuff is virtually plug and play as those things go. You are not required to use a specific piece of software or a specific piece of technology in order to get our interactive displays to be useful to you across a wide range of scenarios, and that's a theme that's going to be really prevalent across all of these case studies. And the two that I've shown you so far obviously bear that out. So now we can go ahead and move on to government law enforcement. This is actually very interesting because when it comes to, and the two examples I have are more on the law enforcement side, and really it speaks to some very, very specific, not just specific scenarios, but really specific requirements when it comes to law enforcement and what they need to be true in order for them to be able to use technology. And the first one I have here for you is the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the largest in Texas and the third largest in the United States. It is a mammoth operation. And because they're as large as they are and because they are a law enforcement operation, one of the things that they do is they have their mobile command centers that they roll out when they have situations that are, shall we say, critical in nature. I'll just come around and say when the life and death stuff is what we're talking about. So suffice to say, what they had to have is they had to have something that was reliable and that was sturdy enough to be able to stand up to the rigors of being what is essentially mobile. And we were very happy that they chose us and that they were pleased with the reliability of our products, and they felt comfortable enough with that reliability that they could put our products into situations where it really, where seconds count. And you have to have these things working so that you can communicate the way that you need to in order for law enforcement to do their jobs and save lives. I'll just come right out and say it. And so this is a really good case study to showcase how in something that's very, very specific, there's something that's definitely not bread and butter, where they saw our solution as the way to go to get them what they needed so they could handle those critical situations in the fashion they needed to. So this is a very good case study for that. And the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. And this is interesting in the sense that here's a situation where what they had going on was in terms of conducting witness interviews and things of that nature. They had a situation where the process by which they could get that information digital was pretty archaic when you think about it. So what they had to do was they had to take the content and excuse me, and burn all of those videos and video and audio files onto CD-ROM and then hand deliver those to the prosecutor's office. Now, that seems ridiculous now, but because of A, the technology that they had access to at the time, and B, the security requirements of making sure that the data securely got from one location to another. I mean, that was a real issue for them. And so they took a look at our X5s, loved what they saw in terms of the comprehensive nature of the solution, the fact that they could install this and have great two-way communication between the conference room and the interview rooms, and that they had all the gear that they needed to record these files and then securely transmit them to the prosecutor's office. And that's really a great scenario for, how we can make this, how we can take this scenario where you were forced to use old stuff for various reasons. And a lot of times you simply don't have control over that process, and give you a solution in which now you can have everything that you needed in terms of accuracy, in terms of security, but be able to get into the 21st century and save time. And believe me, we all know this. When the wheels of justice can spin a little bit faster, that's a wonderful thing. So the ability to transmit that data and have a lot quicker access so that the prosecutor's office can then communicate back to law enforcement to figure out what else needed to happen and not have to waste a lot of time with back and forth waiting for things to be delivered. That's really a very, very good scenario. So we're very happy that the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office was able to leverage the technology that we could provide. And then next, we have higher education. Now we're really coming into stuff that I have to admit is near and dear to my heart. Let me go ahead and I won't call it full disclosure, but in terms of just kind of a little tidbit of information. So both of my parents were in the education business. They both taught at the secondary level. So education case studies, I'm going to admit, are definitely near and dear to me. It really is something that I'm very, very passionate about. A big chunk of my job is across all segments and all channels, but a large part of what I do is to support the training efforts for education. So these are things that really do resonate with me. So Texas A&M University, in case you didn't know, big school, fourth largest in the U.S. They have a huge engineering program. And in fact, it was the College of Engineering that decided that they needed to get into some of this. And the challenge that they had was a situation in which the department doesn't necessarily use all the same stuff. You may have one part of the department that needs to use this piece of software or this device, and then another part of the department needs to use something completely different. So they needed a solution that would work with all of it and would do it comprehensively and easily, that would not require the IT staff to have to go through a lot of fuss to customize the image on the onboard computer in order for it to be what they needed it to be. And the X series definitely fit the bill for them. And their IT team was thrilled with the non-proprietary nature, thrilled with the fact that they could easily customize the image according to their needs and specifications. The fact that the school could easily communicate not just with people, again, in and around campus, but also communicate with guest speakers and lecturers And really, it became the standard. It became the standard solution, and Texas A&M continues to plan on using more of these products throughout campus classrooms, and so we're very happy about that. And they are a very fine customer, a very fine case study. And the thing that's also interesting to note about higher ed is that you could see a mix of products. They may want something that's more in line with an X series, something that's a unified collaboration system because they want to leverage the communication capabilities of those devices. Or you might have a school that's perfectly happy with the cost-effective product in our traditional TrueTouch series. And so you'll see a range when it comes to higher ed. But Texas A&M, for reasons that I just mentioned, chose the X series and have been very, very happy with that. And then we have, you go to the next one, the University of Central Missouri, bread and butter example. Okay, once again, using old stuff, whiteboards and projectors. We want to take the school into the 21st century. We want to give our teachers and students the opportunity to use technology that will allow them to take these things to the next level. And so they went ahead and chose our product. One of the things that they really love about it is the fact that because it is multi-touch, they can actually get groups of students collaborating on the same the same panel, and they use the OPSs, so it gives them all the power of the PC right there. And once again, as we saw in the last example, their IT staff could very easily customize the image, their specifications, without any kind of fuss. So that this is another bread and butter example, and one that I'm happy about. And I think that in this case, if I'm not mistaken, they're using kind of a mix of products. I think they got a little bit of each, if I'm not mistaken. So this is something that's worked out very well for them, and we're very happy about that. And now we come to where I truly do get passionate about these things, K through 12, because we know it. We know that when our students have access to tools that truly get them engaged, that truly facilitate a holistic learning experience. That's the kind of thing that really speaks to me. And so I've actually got 3 examples here. The first is the Alcoan School, and again, this is a scenario that was similar to the scenario at Texas A&M, where you had the College of Engineering there. They had all kinds of stuff that they were using. They needed an interactive display that was going to be able to handle all that. Same with this school. They're not just standardized on PC or just standardized on Mac. They actually have a little bit of everything, PCs, Macs, even some Chromebooks. And so they needed a solution that would allow them to plug those things in and go with no fuss, without having to rely on proprietary software in order to get the thing to function. They wanted to be able to use the stuff that they had. And so this is a very good case study for a solution in a K through 12 environment that allows that to happen. So once again, they connect all the devices. They can easily switch between connected devices with just a couple of touches, because again, that's part of the convenience that we build into our tools, allowing that to happen, and using all the software that they need to use. So this was a solution that really worked out very well for them. Now here we come to one that I really, this one resonates with me probably the most. The Catholic Diocese of Dallas has schools and campuses, and a lot of what they do is they help to really reach those underserved communities and those underserved students, situations where they, under normal circumstances, are just not going to have access to all the tools and all the technology that you might see in other schools and other school districts. As I alluded to before, and this is the big takeaway on this one. As I alluded to before, give a student access to the right tools, and you give that student an opportunity to become something great. And that's really what we did here. Now, we can be, for those of us who have been in the business a while, as I said, we can be cynical about these things, and we can certainly acknowledge. And by the way, it's perfectly fine to acknowledge, listen, Newline Interactive, we're in the business of selling product and making money. We're a for-profit enterprise, but But we also have the opportunity through the technology that we provide to actually make a difference somewhere. I mean, that does happen. And we don't have to be cynical about those things. And that's why I really love this case study. 9 schools, over 75 units, reaching over 5,500 students who otherwise would be limited in terms of the technology to which they have access. And so this is something that really speaks to me and is without question one of my favorite case studies because of that. And then we have Macon County Schools. And what I like about this is I like the fact that what they were actually already there. Here's a case where they were using what I would say is current technology, but they were using a system that was, shall we say, a bit proprietary and a bit expensive. And so I chose this to point out that, listen, again, we can be real about this too. I mean, it's not as if the stuff that we sell is, like inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. But if we were to make a comparison across the board, the thing that you also find about Newline Interactive, not just the part of the story about how how our stuff is easy to use and the technology is not proprietary and it's plug and play and this and that. And that's wonderful. But we are very competitive when it comes to pricing, and in the grand scheme of things, you get a pretty decent amount of reliable technology for the dollar. So the value is also there. And that's the thing that they truly discovered at Macon County Schools was they could get everything they needed. They could have a solution that didn't tie them down to a specific ecosystem. But the fact that they did have software from that ecosystem, they could still run that software and the True Touch would take it and it would be fine. And they get the functionality they need and the value for their dollar. And that's the big deal about this particular case study. And also the fact that they're a G Suite district. They had the big investment in Chromebooks, and Chromebooks are no problem on our products. So they were very, very happy about that. And I was very happy to see this case study because that's again, another scenario that we run into where we can really make something happen for these customers and give them that technology and that value at the same time. Got a case study here, medical. And medical is an interesting because like law enforcement and government, you will have specific requirements in terms of what they need that technology to do. With medical, it's often about data security because they need to be HIPAA compliant. They need to make sure that data is always secure so that things such as patient records, excuse me, don't just float out there for everyone to see. Pruitt Health is a real good example, and it's an example that's very simple, or excuse me, similar to corporate. That's what it is, really. It really is a corporate example. But one of the things that they really liked about the X series, much as a number of our corporate customers do like, was the fact that they could plug them in and go. And it didn't require, although we're always happy to provide free training, it didn't require a lot of that. They could pretty much just go right to work. And the technology wasn't going to overwhelm the staff. The way that I usually point that out, as I say, you run the technology is not running you. And so they were very, very happy about that. They were also happy that, once again, they could use the data security that they needed to use because we're not on anything proprietary, and they were able to make that happen easily and without any fuss. So another look at something that is, if not necessarily critical in terms of life and death from a time aspect, certainly critical in terms of an overall security aspect. And so we were happy that we could provide that technology to our good friends at Pruitt Health. Last but not least, I've got one good sports example for you. Now, for those of you who already know, and for those of you who don't, once again, I'll point out we are based here in Plano, Texas, which is part of the Dallas area. And it stands to reason that if you are a company in the Dallas area and you are looking to make some hay with or in the sports world, just in general terms, in Dallas, it would stand to reason that one of the big names that you're going to target, yeah, you better believe it, it's the Dallas Cowboys. And so our good friends at the Cowboys, they've got their big corporate HQ, what they call the Star. I'll let you take a wild guess as to why they call it that. And it's their big global HQ. And the idea here was not just to make sure that they had modern gear for this modern facility, but the idea also was to make sure that they had something that they could use in each and every department, whether it's team ownership, looking to have something that they could have for internal and customer meetings, football operations, where they could break down game tape, same with the coaching and scouting, that they could do the same sorts of things and be able to annotate over that game tape to make the points that they need to make. Merchandising, helping to build collateral. The cheerleading team doing video performance reviews. A solution that would handle each and every single one of these scenarios. And makes sense, right? I mean, we're talking about the Cowboys. You know, they say that things are bigger in Texas and that whole thing. Yeah, they went with the big ones. They went with the 98-inch models. So, yep, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, everything is bigger in Texas. So no question about it. If you're a Dallas-based company going after the Dallas Cowboys and becoming a partner and partnering with them is certainly, it just makes a lot of sense. But really, as a practical solution, the fact that we could do this and have it be something that each and every department can use and use in a very real way every day, that's definitely worth the price of admission, so to speak. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it in terms of the case studies that I have to share with you. As I always do, if I have anybody from the Newline sales team, I'm not sure I have anybody on from Newline today, but if I do, if there's something that you would like to add or for the case study that you would like to point out, you're certainly welcome to do that. Otherwise, I am happy to open it to the floor to any questions. And don't be shy. Oops, and let me make sure. Hang on, I need to get everybody unmuted. Hang on one sec. So now, if you have a question, you are more than welcome to ask away.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Yay, it's Mike Corley over at Second Gear.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So this is the first one that I've actually been able to join, and I appreciate it. A lot of good case studies, a lot of good info and everything. Yeah. I know you guys are always open to having clients and everything come on webinars and stuff like that. Obviously, we want to do in-person demos. Is this something that they would join, or what would you have them do?
Okay, so that's a good question. Well, here's what I'll tell you about that. If let's say that I'm doing a webinar that is something that is truly and specifically for our dealer and integrator partners, I make that announcement. I don't keep that a secret so that you know, either through a separate invitation or something along those lines. It's like, hey, listen, this is for you. This is not one that we're necessarily going to want customers to join simply because of the topic.
Yeah.
So that's and again, I don't necessarily have a fancy system for that. Really, it's just an announcement that I make via an email blast saying, hey, this is the topic for this week's webinar. This will be for our dealer integrator partners. Yada yada yada. That's pretty much how I handle that.
Perfect.
Otherwise,
okay. And
if you don't hear anything, then all
okay.
are welcome.
All right. And then the other thing, too, is the Dallas Cowboys thing was actually pretty interesting because I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so I sell to the Texas area and everything. Are we able to state that they use them? Are we not supposed to? Are we supposed to kind of keep it close to the chest, or what do we do?
Listen, to my knowledge, you can brag about when it comes to us and the customers that we have and the fact that our technology is out there. Brag away, my friend. Brag away.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you this: if that changes, or if I hear anything different, I'll let you know. But as far as I know, we're happy to have our partners shout our message from the mountaintops at any given opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it. It was good stuff.
You are welcome, and thank you for attending. Any other questions out there? All right. Well, if you do have any questions and you would prefer to ask me offline, of course, you're always welcome to do that. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining the Newline Interactive Weekly Wisdom Webinar, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.